We have talked before a lot about how Rishi Sunak's government is, well, the best way to describe it is, as we've said before, it's a house of cards built on quicksand on an earthquake fault line, and anything at any moment could potentially set off the Richter scale to cause this house of cards, his government, come crashing down to the floor. He is beset on all sides by a Tory party that is fractured beyond repair, I highly suspect, at this point, and there is no chance of governing it at all. He has no political capital. He cannot do anything. He has no room to maneuver. And to top it all off, you've got the nurses' strike, which the government tried to say and face down and say, no, we can't do it. But of course, what happened? The nurses went out on strike, very likely to continue amongst all this as well, certainly going into the new year. And it's not just nurses, as we've said, there's potentially the firefighters, and of course, there's talk even potentially of civil servants, maybe even going on strike as well. The entire public sector wants a pay rise. And here's the thing. You look at the polls, over 50% of the public support the government giving them a pay rise. Even the nurses' strike has something, I think, like a 65% approval from the public. And it gets even more where the right-wing press, who would normally, certainly in a strike situation, be against such things, even the Sun, the Daily Mail are supporting these nurses' strikes. So Sunak, whose maybe his only friends were potentially outside of Parliament, are quickly abandoning ship. He's very, very quickly becoming the most friendless prime minister ever. And the more Sunak is isolated, the more deadly and precarious his position becomes. And of course, we've seen the excuses of hiding behind the pay review body, because that's what Sunak today has come out saying, that, oh, we have to go with the pay review body. Don't worry, it's the pay review body that will sort all this out. Well, the pay review body has said it is possible to give nurses more, give them a pay rise. But they need the government to go, where are you going to get this money from? And even then, as we have seen, we've had a 20% increase in British millionaires and even billionaires since COVID. So there's money out there. We are told by the Conservatives all the time about how a rich nation we are. We are one of the richest nations in the world. And yet, for some reason, we can't seem to find this money. And of course, even the Conservatives, when we have raised taxes to pay for some of this nonsense that they themselves have caused, Liz Truss's, for example, a disastrous kamikaze budget that blew a massive hole in the public finances, certainly is very, very much to blame for a lot of the situation we find ourselves in now. Of course, you've got the cost of living crisis, inflation, going and adding to that as well. Of course, Brexit is adding to these pressures as well, as we always said it would. So they are quickly, Sunak is running out of places to run and try and hide. And if he gives in to these strikes, there's a couple of situations that could really happen. You've got a couple of Tory MPs saying that Sunak should give in to these strikes, these nurses' strikes, and give them that pay. But if he does that, that pretty much means every other strike is justified in getting their pay review. The public bodies, the other public bodies there that in some cases haven't even had a pay rise in 10 years, they're now justified even more in going on strike and getting their pay rises. And then you've got, of course, another faction within the Conservative Party who is like, well, no. Basically, no. we do not give in to strikers, almost viewed as a situation of we do not negotiate with terrorists. That is the level of hatred they certainly give to the working people, and certainly even to the unions in this case. That's how it is certainly treated. And if Sunak does give in to them, they will certainly see this as him being weak, and of course, bang goes his government. There is no way Sunak can hold out against this. He's isolated even more so than I think initially even people may have thought. And the more he's isolated, the more the more precarious his position becomes. And sooner or later, one of these strikes will very, very, I think, very quickly take him out. I think you could see the liaison committee, which is meeting soon, are certainly going to give him a grilling, because from what we can see, there is no exit strategy for these strikes. There is no way to end it. There is seem to be no plan at all to try and end these strikes. So he's going to get an absolute grilling from the liaison committee. And then, of course, I think over the Christmas period, I think you've got a lot of Tory MPs that may just seriously go, well, when do we call a no confidence vote in Sunak? Might we get one early next year? It's not beyond the realms of possibility. It's not beyond the realms of possibility, but almost certainly, I think the May elections are going to be his big test. If, with what we can see, that it's going to be an absolute, conservative wipeout potentially in these local May elections, then that's when Sunak's going to go, ultimately. And then, of course, even the Tories know they cannot just change leader again. There will be a general election. Whoever gets in will have to call a general election. They know they'll have to do it. They can't get away with not calling it, to be honest. So very, very quickly, Sunak will find himself certainly backed into a corner with nowhere to move. And of course, I think either he will run to the exit door, or someone will show it to him. They'll go, here's the exit door. Please leave. Let's just end this nonsense now. And I think a lot of Conservatives even know it themselves. Certainly the MPs certainly know it themselves, that they haven't got long, that they cannot hold out. And as I've said, I will be very surprised if we get to, this time next year in 2023 and we haven't had a general election. I will be very, very, very surprised on that front. But like I say, as always, guys, thank you very much for watching. And as always, please remember to hit that like, share, and subscribe button. And of course, down below, there are links to my Patreon page and a donation link called Buy Me Coffee, where you can buy me coffee. And as always, thank you very much to all the people who do help and support the channel that way. And of course, as always, we'll see you all next time.